They are a notorious gang of outlaws who have thumbed their nose at the law for more than 20 years.
Despite countless investigations, criminal complaints, and court orders, this daring mother and son duo are still wreaking havoc. News 13 investigative reporter Larry Barker has tracked them for 10 years, and tonight he reopens the case of the Nightmare Neighbors.
Would you like living next door to this house?
I would not like living next door to this home.
Would you live next door to John Gallegos?
I would not want to, no. That's a situation that no neighbor should ever be put in.
Would you like living next door to John Gallegos?
Absolutely not.
In fact, nobody in their right mind would want to live next door to some of the most notorious addresses in all of Albuquerque.
Any way you look at it, from the street or in the air, 318 Mesilla Northeast is a dump, a junkyard in a residential neighborhood. The house is run down, there's abandoned cars, rusting trucks and trailers, weeds, litter, trash, and debris. And don't look for a welcome mat at the front door.
Hello? Anybody home?
I don't think anybody's home.
And across town, there's this ramshackle home on the corner.
Terra Northeast is a quiet residential street lined with attractive homes and well-manicured landscapes. But there's one exception: 4112.
Scattered throughout the sprawling property are a half-dozen derelict cars, worn-out tires, barbecue grills, neglected landscaping, and a jumbled mess of trash and debris. Now, if the Tara address looks similar to the Mesilla property, that's because there's a connection. Meet the homeowners. Diane Gallegos owns the house on Tara. Her son John owns the Mesilla residence. But be forewarned, John and Diane don't like visitors.
That is my property. Get off of my property, step back 5 feet, and you're off my property.
The Gallegos are compulsive hoarders. They acquire excessive amounts of junk and have an unwillingness to get rid of it. John Gallegos doesn't actually live at his home on Mesilla. He simply uses the property to dump the rubble. It's believed that John lives with his mother on Tara.
Over the past 20 years, Diane and John Gallegos have been slapped with countless criminal complaints, inspections, violation notices, investigations, court orders, jail time, and fines. However, the city has been unable to get mother and son to stop compulsive hoarding and comply with the law.
When it comes to zoning violations, Diane and John are public enemies number 1 and 2.
We just see, we have to drive by this eyesore every day and look at it, and it's very discouraging.
Jim Mondlick lives across the street on Mesilla.
It's been a mess for the last 20 years. I mean, he's trashed out the property. The city's come in and cleaned it up, and he reverts back to his old habits. As soon as they clean it up, he starts over again.
We're outraged because we have a continual problem on these properties.
Brennan Williams works for Albuquerque's planning department.
We're doing everything we can from both a criminal standpoint as well as a civil standpoint to bring about continued compliance for both of these properties. It's frustrating.
Since 1994, the mother-son duo have been hauled into court multiple times for persistent zoning, health, and safety violations. There have been at least 11 criminal complaints, 22 city inspections, 15 violation notices, 36 citizen complaints, and 2 injunctions. Sometimes they pay small fines. Sometimes they get off with a slap on the wrist. However, nobody has been able to get the attention of the Nightmare Neighbors.
Neighbors should not have to endure this for 20 years.
Jessica Hernandez is Albuquerque's city attorney.
It's frustrating that the Gallegos will do just enough to get the court or the city off of their back for the moment and then just go right back to what they've been doing. But we know now that that's the way that they operate.
10 years ago, city officials had had enough. Armed with a court order, city inspectors raided the Mesilla property.
You can't describe what's in that house.
Officers found the entire home from floor to ceiling stuffed with trash. The living room, the bedrooms, the bathroom, the kitchen and the garage, practically every square inch stuffed with discarded appliances, 55-gallon drums, and garbage. And that's not all. Crammed into a small crawl space, officers discovered 3 little pigs. Yes, pigs. That was 2005. Today, John and Diane continue to thumb their nose at the law, City Hall, judges, and neighbors.
What I hear from the constituents is that it's affecting their lives. It's affecting their daily lives. You can imagine, you wake up every morning, you go outside, and you see a junkyard.
Trudy Jones represents the Northeast Heights on the City Council.
People who have no intention of ever obeying laws, who don't think that they ever have to work within the system, will always, always find a way to create a property like this.
It's just got to end. We're going to get to the point we're going to have to throw the book at them.
Now, mother and son have caught the attention of the mayor.
It's a dang shame, that these neighbors have had to put up with this for all these years. And I've made very clear to my legal department, I know we've tried for decades. We haven't gotten there for the neighbors. We haven't gotten there for the community. Let's fix this daggum thing once and for all.
And I'm working with attorneys in our office to prepare a civil complaint, asking the court for authority to go onto the property, do whatever it needs to be done to clean up the property, and then bill the Gallegos. And if they don't pay it, put a lien against their property for that amount, because the city and the taxpayers should not have to pay for the cost of that cleanup.
2 weeks ago, that complaint was filed in court.
The city's made honest efforts in the past to get this thing taken care of. It has not worked. We're going to ramp it up in a big way if the courts will let us do that. But we're also going to stop the outflow of your tax dollars to keep handling the same situation over and over again.
So what do the nightmare neighbors have to say? Over the years, News 13 has crossed paths with them. Here's John 10 years ago.
I just wanted to say no comment, but I saved a ton on my car insurance. Good day, fellas.
Here they are again in 2006.
John, why do you do this? I mean, it's a fair question.
I think you probably should find more important things to investigate.
Just last week, Diane Gallegos was back in court on a new criminal complaint. She had nothing to say. Her son John, who is also facing a new criminal charge, did not respond to questions.
We want the city to clean this property up and have it cleaned up for good, have it a permanent solution, because he's compulsive. If the city does not control him, he'll come back and as he's done before, and he will bring all the junk back in piece by piece again. That's his way of operating.
Larry Barker, KRQE, News 13.
Last month, the judge issued a bench warrant for the arrest of John Gallegos after he failed to show up for an arraignment on a new criminal complaint. Gallegos is still listed as a fugitive. Go to our KRQE app for more photos of the property and to read the criminal complaint.